I have two sons, Jason 26 and Grant 31. Jason has a girlfriend, Kelly 26. They've been together on and off for a couple of years. Jason tends to change girlfriends like he changes underwear, and this one has been quite the ride, full of drama. She also cannot stand not to be the center of attention. I will add that both have had multiple other relationships through this with other people. I'm not for the relationship, especially since Kelly has a tween son that is being dragged through this, but my son is an adult and he can make his own choices. Grant also has a now fiancée, Tori 28, but she was not a fiancée at this time. They've known each other for over a decade. We're usually casually dating or just friends, and have also had this on and off type of thing over the years, but it was more of the timing was always wrong thing. For example, she left to go to school in another state, came home, and left for a job. When they were younger, she wasn't ready for anything serious and was too busy with school or work. They both dated other people, but they always stayed close. Recently, he went to visit her, and a few weeks later, I found out I was going to be a grandma. I adore Tori, and she and Grant are great together. I was so excited, especially when I learned that Tori had decided to move back and that she was moving in with him to be a family. Now come Thanksgiving dinner, she was at about 5 months pregnant. Jason brought Kelly along, and they got back together a few months ago. Again, Tori had just officially moved back 2 weeks prior, so a lot of the family was excited to catch up with her, as she'd come to a ton of family functions through the year and knew everyone. We started talking baby showers and things like that, and I commented on wanting to go all out for her because this was my first grandchild. This is also something I want to do because Tori's mom died when she was 14, and after that she bounced around the foster system and doesn't have any real family support, so I wanted to make her feel loved and supported. Kelly jumped in and mentioned her kid would always be my first grandchild. I told her, no, that'll always be your child, and if my son decides on you, I will see him as my grandchild, but they won't be my first. Tori's baby will always be my first grandchild. She threw a fit, said that my son chose a woman with kids and they should be accepted by the family, and then said Tori basically baby-trapped Grant. I told her to get back to me after they got married, or at least managed to stay together for more than 6 months. She stormed out. My son stormed out. Son and her say I'm the idiot. Dinner was completely awkward for the rest of the night. Edit. Over the years, we've only seen her child a handful of times, and he was not present at this gathering. She only gets visitation with him. Not the idiot. Congratulations on setting her straight. The best part was, get back to me after you get married, or at least manage to stay together for more than 6 months. She was trying to steal the spotlight and caught the glare instead. Kelly owes everyone an apology, especially Tori. Trapping Grant? Her son is her son. If she ever marries your son, I know you'll accept him as a grandchild. Agreed. This woman's child is not your grandchild. Bless her heart. She only gets visitation herself. For a mother not to have full custody, or even a 50-50 split, usually means she must have done something bad for the court to go that way, or that she gave up her rights. You had mentioned that she likes drama and to be the center of attention, so something must have already happened. She's 26 and the son is a tween. That probably has a lot to do with it. OP, it's a shame that he has to witness his mother still acting like a child and throwing tantrums, but you can't help that. If they get married, a big if, of course, her son will be your grandchild then, but he isn't yet, and all of Kelly's theatrics won't change that. But let the boy know it isn't his fault, and you care for him and want him in your life. Don't promise to be his grandmother, because his loss will be worse if they break up. Give him presents even if they don't show up for dinner, but you don't have to apologize to Jason and Kelly. This year, I hosted Christmas for my family. I, 33 male, have been married for 2 years. Every year it's at my sister, my parents, or my house, and it rotates every year. One of us hosts Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year. My sister, who is vocally child-free, got a dog in the last year. I love my sister, but we're very much opposites. When I had my kid, it changed our relationship a bit. She tolerates, her words, my son. She's never watched him, and I've also never asked. My son is present at all family functions, and this annoys my sister. My sister has turned into your classic dog mom. The world revolves around the dog type. I do not own dogs, and I really don't want to be around them. I don't want them in my house. Well, my sister wanted to bring her dog to Christmas, and I said no. It's well trained and overall okay for a dog. I just didn't want it in my house or yard. She complied and left it alone, but was not happy and told me that several times. The day before New Year's Eve, she told me kids weren't welcome at her house. I was taken aback by this and asked why. She just said alcohol would be present, we all drink, and family friends also come to this party, and that it wouldn't be appropriate for a toddler to be present. My wife and I had planned to only stay till 10 anyway, and then would go home because of our kid. We reconsidered and opted not to go at all, and respected my sister's wishes by keeping the kid at home. I let her know a half hour before the party started. My wife and I treated it like any other night. We didn't even stay up until midnight. By 11, I noticed missed calls from her and didn't answer. Fell asleep while texts started coming in, calling me an idiot, calling me a dog hater, saying it was rude that I didn't come to the party, said it was BS that she got my kid a Christmas present, but we didn't get our dog anything. The list went on, and she had clearly been drinking. I tried to call her, but she didn't answer, and I got a text saying, "I'm not answering, idiot." So, am I the idiot here? Excuse me, she said. It was BS that she got my kid a Christmas present, but didn't get our dog anything. I know this must have been super unpleasant to deal with, but it cracked me up. Your sister sounds difficult. Not the idiot, OP. She was testing you and wanted you to protest when she said her nephew wasn't welcome. You didn't take the bait, and she ironically threw a toddler-sized tantrum. Good for you and your wife for not arguing, complying, and staying home. The only misstep is that you called her back. You should have just ignored it. I would leave it alone. This is a her problem, not a you problem. And no, you didn't get her dog a gift. I rolled my eyes at that one, LOL. I felt like her intoxicated meltdown was at least partially triggered by the rest of the family asking, "Where's OP? We wanted to see the baby." And sister realized that the rest of the family did not equate kids with a dog. This is absolutely absurd behavior on the part of OP's sister. She can leave her dog home alone. You can't leave a toddler home alone. Comparing a child and a pet is comparing apples and oranges. Well, my mom got my dog, who she refers to as her granddog, a faux fur blanket that matches Doggo's fur for Christmas this year. The dog looks absolutely ridiculous wrapped in it, and I'm not sure who's enjoying it more, mom or the dog. However, a last-minute babysitter on New Year's Eve, good luck finding one. Even if they did, who would want to pay the rates? Sister knew exactly what she was doing. It was my sister-in-law's birthday recently. She's a mid-teen, and she got a huge party. But my husband wanted to celebrate as a family. Backstory: I recently gave birth to my son, Quinn. I'm also 3 months pregnant. We tried for Quinn since I was 21 and my husband was 25, so it took us 3 years with no luck and tons of doctor's appointments. We thought we'd have to use IVF or adoption when suddenly I was pregnant. I'd been told it was unlikely I'd get pregnant, so imagine my surprise getting pregnant so soon after giving birth. This pregnancy has been a nightmare. I mean, I've been pregnant for essentially a year with no break. I get that it's my fault, but as I said, I didn't expect it. It's not been smooth sailing this time. I'm exhausted, nauseous, emotional, and just overall unhappy. Like, pregnant women get mood swings, but I don't. I'm just sad. I'm talking to a therapist. We'd planned on meeting at a restaurant when I started getting really nauseous, bad stomach pains. Without being graphic, I was sick all over myself. So I had a bath and the pains went. My husband rearranged the meal to ours. So, surprise, the meal was hosted in our home. Now, granted, he cooked and cleaned, but I'd just given birth and I'm pregnant. I don't want anyone in my home. He insisted I eat with them. so I came down in comfy clothes. I feel like a whale looking at my nice old clothes. Mother-in-law remarked that it would have been nicer for me to dress up, that I knew sister-in-law was inviting some friends. I had been told it was family, and that I looked sick. I said, maybe raising my voice, "You try being pregnant for a year. I'm exhausted, and I'm in pain." She went silent. The meal was crazy awkward. And then my husband told me I have nice pregnancy clothes, that I could have asked for a plate to be brought upstairs, and he's just upset with me, saying I didn't need to make a scene, and just explained to mother-in-law that I felt unwell but didn't want to be absent. He says he changed it to ours, so I didn't have to be overdressed, but still look nice. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Nobody will tell me what I can wear in my own house, regardless of the context. I wasn't naked. You're welcome. And your mother-in-law should be more sympathetic and not make a scene. You just gave her one grandbaby and are about to give her another, and she can't cut you some slack? She's an idiot for that. You need to take care of yourself and listen to your doctor first. OP's husband is an idiot too. Who says, "Hey, my wife is in pain. Let's go to our house," and make her even more uncomfortable? Who does that? The husband should have gone to the party alone, or alone with the baby and let OP rest. I doubt a teen sister-in-law would be upset over her brother's wife missing her birthday dinner if she wasn't feeling well. There is no reason a sick, pregnant mom with an infant needs to host a dinner, period. Your husband was an idiot for getting you pregnant immediately after the first one with no time to recover, for inviting people over when you weren't into it, and for not defending you from mother-in-law and supporting her and not you and saying that you have nice pregnancy clothes. Back off. Does he even care for you? I'm so sorry you're struggling, OP, but I'm glad to hear you're working with a therapist. Keep strong, Mama. My stepbrother got married a few weeks ago. Mom delivered a very long and heartfelt speech about how glad she was to be in his life, how she was so glad life worked out the way it had, and that she wouldn't change the events of her life because they were worth it to get these moments of perfection, and how we as a family were all so grateful and glad our lives turned out as they had. She was crying, her husband was crying, and my stepbrother and his wife were crying. But my brother's sister and I felt her words were like a slap in the face. To get this perfect family, we had to lose our dad suddenly, and it also meant being torn away from the place we felt most at home because Mom couldn't stand being there and took us away from family and friends. To hear her say she was glad everything happened, glad my dad died, my siblings and I couldn't shake that. Mom was glowing and gushing the whole rest of the wedding, and the next day she was upset that we didn't go and hang out with her and her husband. She asked us what had happened and why we'd acted like we were caught between crying and getting mad most of the wedding. My brother told her that her little speech was messed up and how she was so glad Dad was dead. Maybe we didn't want to spend any time with her. She was all flustered and tried to say we were overreacting and taking it the worst way instead of the best way, which is how she meant it. What followed was a couple of weeks of no talking. Then she found out that the three of us were talking to each other about it, and she got mad at us and said we had no right to try and make her feel guilty for her speech. I told her she should not have spoken for us as a family, and did she really think we agreed that the family was perfect? Did she really believe her 3 children, who lost their dad, their only dad, would say that they wouldn't change a thing? She told me we don't have only one father, we have 2, and we're blessed with a bigger family from a loss. I told her it didn't take from the fact that we would change that in a heartbeat and keep our dad regardless of whether her husband and his son came into our lives. I told her she had to see how it would hurt us to hear those words. I brought up that nobody else made a speech like it, and how we had to try and act okay through it all to not cause a scene while we had our hearts ripped out. She said yet again how we saw the worst in it and how she was speaking for herself. I told her no. She spoke about the whole family feeling that way, and she had no right to do that. She told me I had no right to speak to her the way I was, and that I was just trying to make her words bad instead of good. She told the 3 of us that we were being spiteful and taking our grief about our dad out on her, and she wouldn't tolerate it. Her husband and our stepbrother learned about the argument, and they're also annoyed at us for being upset. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I would have voted differently had she not doubled down. Her original speech wasn't great, but I can understand that she might have been thoughtless but good-intentioned. For her to treat your father's death as this blessing and to make it sound like it was a sentiment you all shared is really effed up. Agreed. Had she listened to their words and apologized because she didn't realize how upsetting it would be to them, this could have turned out so differently. But to double down and insist they're wrong for being hurt is insane. OP expressed very well why this hurt them, and not only one of them is upset, it's all three. And they're not being hateful toward their stepfamily, just saying they're still grieving the sudden loss and the change they had to go through, which she refuses to acknowledge. Wow, your mother, unfortunately, shows a remarkable lack of empathy towards you and your siblings. It sounds like she might be a narcissist, focusing only on her feelings. She appears utterly blind to the hurt and loss you've suffered from losing your dad. I admire your restraint in not calling her out at the wedding or just walking out. Guess she chose what family was most important to her. I'm sorry for your loss. She made you and your siblings emotional orphans, then invalidates all of your feelings, then sends her new family to double down. Yeah, I'd be keeping my distance too. I, teen female, have a 2-year-old dog that loves to chase everything. My little brother, pre-tween, had a soccer game, and I wanted to take my dog around the park. I let go of his leash to tie my shoes, and he ran onto the field, stole the ball, and ran around the field so proud of himself with a group of pre-tweens chasing him. I know my dad. My dad coaches my brother's team, or I should have done something, but it was hilarious. We couldn't stop laughing. My dog has since been banned from my brother's soccer game after plenty of jokes about him having better defense than the entire team, and my mom was mad at me for ruining the game. It was a pre-tween soccer game. It was by far the most entertaining part of the game. Heck, some parents gave him some of their fries. Anyways, my mom insists that my dad and I were in the wrong, so we were idiots for not doing anything about my dog having better defense than the rest of the team? You are the idiot. Why would you ever let go of the leash? The whole point of putting a dog on a leash is that you're holding on to it. Seriously, bare minimum, you should step on the leash if you need both hands for something, or just put the loop around your wrist. Control your dog, otherwise it'll hurt someone or get them into some serious trouble. Doesn't matter how cute you think it is. Oh, he likes to chase everything, because you haven't taught him to sit, stay, or drop it. What happens when he goes after a kid? Because, OMG, something's moving. Your dog is the one who gets put down, and the kids get stitches. You need to be a better pet parent, or just rehome the dog to someone who will teach it manners. Next time it could be a car, or off goes Fido. Where did he go? Oh, he got hit by a car. So sad, too bad. Maybe you should have trained him. Agreed. Your dog is your responsibility. It was by far the most entertaining part of the game. Everybody's there so that the kids can play soccer, not your dog. Even if they were bored to tears, they just wanted the game to be over and to go home. Nobody thought, wow, thank goodness that dog showed up, or else the afternoon would have been a total loss. So don't ruin others' good time just because you think it's lame.